Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. We're now currently about 2.5 hours after the end of the Chelsea versus Arsenal match. As you'll all know by the scoreline, Chelsea of course did win 2-0. Not an unexpected victory, if I'm honest, despite the fact, we have our highest hopes for Arsenal. But the performance wasn't too bad. I wanted to just say that to start off with. I think that it was quite evenly matched. Chelsea obviously have got more qualities, I think, where it matters. A bit more clinical, and they also sort of bossed the midfield as well and did well defensively. I thought up top they weren't brilliant, but at the end of the day they won the penalty and then hit us on the counter attack when we're trying to push for the equaliser, which can happen to you. So I'm not going to dismiss it, but I think all things considered, it wasn't a terrible performance by Arsenal, and Chelsea, bested us on the day. The point that I really wanted to make from the game, well, not really from the game, it's been a long time coming. I didn't want to make any snap decisions, so I didn't say anything last season about it at all, and I didn't say I did a video on the Fabregas situation in moving to Chelsea. I didn't say it then, but I have been thinking it and saying it quietly to my friends since. Really just about how I feel about the whole Fabregas thing. But first I wanted to get onto Ozil, and I just do not think that he's good enough for the Arsenal team. I've seen him play in a whole load of different positions for Arsenal, watched him today as well, and he just epitomised today how he's been playing since he joined. He seems to lack some desire, commitment and passion, quite frankly, most of all. And people will say he's not been playing in his favourite position. I would ask what his favourite position is, and you're going to tell me that it's behind the striker in a free role. And you should know that if you are playing in a free role, you're going to end up sometimes occupying wide positions, coming out wide to get the ball, to make passes, to bring players into the game. And even when he is playing out on the wing, he looks like he can't control the ball. There was one moment around the 80th minute where he's got the ball on the wing and he just basically walks out of play for no apparent reason. When you paid £42 million for a world-class player and he's struggling to control the ball, and especially when it's these big matches when the big players show up, and the big players, at the very least have to try. I mean, you could see by Wilshere, Cazorla, Flamini, Sanchez, they tried at least. There was passion in their play, especially from Wilshere. He tried to break through a couple of times, misplaced some passes. He wasn't on his best form. But when you consider how Ozil played, he's not good enough for this Arsenal team. It's not that he's this superstar midfielder who can unlock defences. He hasn't got what it takes for the Premiership, and that happens sometimes with players. We've seen it many times throughout the past. We've seen Manchester United buy Veron. Now Veron, you would say, is an absolutely brilliant player, even during the latter years of his career, and he made it back into the Argentina team. But the Premiership wasn't for him. Despite the fact you'd have thought big imposing guy like that would do well, and he didn't. And I'm not comparing those two together, they're different types of players, but just trying to make the point that you can have a really good player such as Ozil and him not being able to perform in the Premier League. It's not his style of play. It's far too physical for him. He couldn't hold the ball off against, I'm going to say Defoe, he doesn't play in the Premiership anymore, but a very small player. And it's a shame really, because we all had high hopes for him, we paid a lot of money for him. But when I heard Fabregas was on the transfer market effectively, I was praying that Wenger would go out and buy him, and I think Wenger has chosen the wrong option of the two. He should have brought Fabregas in. I understand why he hasn't. He said he's replaced him with Ozil, and if that's the line he's going to go down, then that's fair enough. It makes sense to stick with Ozil even if Fabregas became available. But for me, it would have been Fabregas every time. I mean, I think even the you know, Fabregas put in a very professional performance today, and I thought he did quite well. Not his best game ever, but he did his job. And I think if you put him in an Arsenal shirt on that day against Chelsea, if you swap the two players around, Fabregas would probably have played with such passion that he would have, well, he would have made it would have been far more effective than Ozil's performance today. And even if we still had have lost, at least he would have put a shift in. And that's one of the reasons, well, a bit of a different topic, but it's one of the reasons that I appreciate Alexis Sanchez. Because it seems like no matter what shirt he is playing in, he plays for that shirt. And as any football fans, especially as Arsenal fans, we want to see players playing for the shirt. And that's something you would get from Fabregas, and not something that we're currently getting from Ozil. And it's one of the big problems. He wasn't the worst player. Well, he was the worst. Probably was the worst player today for Arsenal. Some of the players didn't perform. Koscielny didn't do very well. I thought Chambers did okay, but could have got sent off. Some of his tackling was really good. Some of his passing was quite good as well. His crosses, not so much, but you know, he's trying to do something different, trying to create an attacking opportunity. So he is quite young, and he'll only learn from his experience playing against Hazard on the wing, you know, on the same wing as him. So, you know, I can't be too harsh on the defence really, because there's not been a long term. I try not to be reactionary and start blaming everyone after one game, but the Ozil problem has been going on for a long time. And I think sometimes, even though you put such a huge investment on him, you'd still get quite a lot of money for Ozil from a different club, and maybe it's time to cut our losses and go with something else. If I was in charge, I'd probably be looking at giving Ozil to the end of the season and then deciding on where his future lies. And you know, if he doesn't pick up, then there's already murmurings from us as Arsenal fans about him, and I think they're only going to get more vocal as time goes on and he doesn't perform against the big clubs, or the smaller clubs for that matter. But I don't know, far too inconsistent and doesn't show enough passion for me. You know, don't get me wrong, there's other areas of the Arsenal team that aren't quite up to scratch, but he is definitely one of the positions that you expect a performance from. And until he starts delivering that, he should expect the criticism that he's coming under. And I don't like all the excuses that are made for him either, whether that's by Wenger or any other commentator for that matter, saying he's too tired or he's not playing in his position. Perhaps contributing factor, but in the day he's going to find himself out there, and the way Wenger sets up his team, it's so that the midfield is quite fluid. If he wanted to bring the ball into the centre of the park, he could do, and play it from there. Just because he's out on the wing doesn't mean necessarily has to stick out there. But anyway, that's my rant really about Ozil. No one will agree, or not many people are going to agree with me at this point. And personally, I hope I come back to eat my words. I'm very much of the belief that as soon as the players step out on the field, you support them 100%. When Ozil plays, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Afterwards, I'll analyse the performance, as I do in every game with every player. But yeah, I hope he proves me wrong and he can hit some form and, you know, become. Basically, Wenger's trying to say he should be better than Fabregas, because they were the two options he had, and he went for Ozil, quite frankly. We'll have to see how that goes. I would like to mention one more thing before I finish, because that's the main bulk of the video. But I felt a bit disgusted today with the Arsenal fans at the game. Booing Cesc Fabregas, I think, is totally wrong. I don't agree with that at all. I think that, you know, the guy played his heart out for us for many years, and he was sold a vision of going back home, that, you know, that he would be a valuable asset and loved by everyone and the fans, and that's how it started off. But it doesn't always last sometimes, and he wanted to move back to London. You know, that's a place where he became a man, and Wenger turned around and said he didn't want him. Now that's fair enough, Wenger's allowed to do that, but, you know, we can't, as fans, be getting on to Fabregas about playing for Chelsea. I mean, if he wants to go back to London, where else is he going to go? if you can even call Tottenham a feasible option, that's, you know, the only other place he can go really in London. And well, maybe if he did go to Tottenham, we'd probably have an argument to boo him. But no, going to Chelsea, I think Fabregas has done the right thing. Barcelona didn't want him. He had to go to a club where he's going to get first team football. And from what I can make out, Wenger said you wouldn't get that, so turned him down. I would have gone with him personally, but I'm not the manager. I don't make the calls. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to go and see some of my other videos, you can on my channel. I'm doing a giveaway at the minute for having over 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to, if you don't want to take part in that, just click on the channel. It'll be there in the recent uploads. Should be the one before this one. And yeah, if you got any comments, leave them down below. If you've got contrasting thoughts about Ozil and you think he's going to become an amazing superstar, I'd like to hear that. Hopefully, and why. But yeah, personally, I've had enough of him. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know who to bring in to potentially replace him. All I know is I feel very aggrieved that we don't have Fabregas, and we do have Ozil, because quite frankly, I'd gladly swap the two right now. Maybe that's a deal that could be done potentially, but don't know. That's way out there. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you very soon.